Hi everyone, this is Yanni, your local notary and also senior living advisor. For today's topic, I wanted to just mention a few good questions that you should ask as a mobile notary. Now, keep in mind, you could ask this either over the phone or in person. This is just a few good questions that I typically like to ask my clients. So, the first question that I always like to begin with is who are the documents I'm notarizing for? The importance in this question is you want to make sure that all signers will be present. And in case that you have to do a split signing, which happens at times with real estate transactions, think about, for example, people that have divorced. They're going to sell an asset, but they're not together. You want to know to see where you're meeting the individuals, also your fees if they have to be updated. So that's very important to ask if the who the documents will be for and if they will be present. So, the importance of asking this question, what type of document is it, is because there are certain documents that us as notaries, we cannot notarize. So, think about things that are vital records, for example, birth certificates, death certificates. Typically, you have to go to a special place, the city hall or so, to get those notarized and to get a copy of them, really, because they can't be notarized. They just have to get an official copy. Another reason why we ask what type of document is because there are documents that need a witness. Now, if you need a witness, typically I ask the client if they have someone available. This person cannot be at all related to the individual and also have no benefit in the document that's being notarized. So you ask that question for the witness, and then also if you have to provide a witness, you can also charge a fee for that. But it's just to know ahead of time. I always like to ask my signers to make sure that they bring with them a valid form of ID. Now, typically, this is just as a reminder. Think if you're meeting someone outside of their home, just as a reminder, hey, make sure you bring your ID with you. Now, please note that not all forms of ID are valid. The ones that typically are going to be those issued by, for example, the DMV or the Motor Vehicle Division. Also, passports are okay and military ID and copies of these documents are not okay. And another important thing with the IDs is know that if they're expired, they are allowed. Typically, for example, in Rhode Island, it's 3 years, but please take a look at your Secretary of State listing to see how long they can be expired for until they're no longer valid. Witnesses. So I touched upon this a few slides earlier, but the importance of witnesses is you have to know if the signer will have them or if you should bring them. Now, it's important to tell the signer that not everyone can be a witness. For example, if the individual has some sort of say or their name is included as a beneficiary in that document that you're notarizing, they cannot be a witness. Also, if they're related to the individual, cannot be a witness. If you have to bring a witness with you, it's common for a fee to be assessed in addition to the notarial fees that you're charging for the notarization. I find that for this question, if the signer has the documents, they do for the most part, but every now and then they don't have it. And as a notary, we can go ahead and print those for them. So this is why I like to ask. And it's happened to me before too, where the signer doesn't have the documents because they're coming, say, from an attorney's office. So we've had to delay the signing 3 hours in order to allow time for the documents to arrive. But this is why it's important to ask this question, just so you know ahead of time and can plan accordingly. Another important question to ask is where would the signer like to sign the documents? I prefer to do it at public places, say a Dunkin' Donuts, a Starbucks, even a library. But you can also go to the individual's home. That's certainly an option. The whole goal of this is to make sure you're setting up a time, the date that you're going to be signing, and finalizing the location of where you're going to meet the person. Alrighty, lastly, it's discussing the fee and payment. With this question, you want to go ahead and outline the different forms of payment that you take. So it could be, say, Cash App, Zelle, cash, credit card, any of those payment types, and also how much it's going to be. There are signers that ask for an itemized receipt of what they paid, and it might be good to look into different systems that will allow for you to do that. But for the most part, most individuals are good and just ask, what's the fee? You just want to be upfront with them and clear and not go over there and change the fee unless something else that they didn't speak to you about comes up. But for the most part, it's just to be transparent with our fee and also how we take payment. So this concludes the video. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I've added my email below. Also, when in doubt, please take a look at your Notary Public Manual. Every state has it, and there's tons of information. Rules are different depending on the state. So take a look, become familiar as a notary, and let me know if there's other topics you'd like for me to speak about. Have a great one.